and everything. Then, you know, bigger developers like Epic and everything can actually just go and kind of rewrite your generated C++ code or write specialization stuff themselves to take advantage of it. I don't know. It's kind of a race for the bottom with photorealism, because having, I think what the biggest issue right now with creating photorealistic games is like just making enough assets and making stuff interactable. It's like, cool, you can make a photorealistic game, you just need an army of content creators, and you're like, ah, Jesus Christ, people cost money. Is Stingray the thing there with, is that 3ds Max or Maya or whatever? I forget. I haven't really looked at it at all. Alright, so we should actually probably fade this out a little bit, I'm thinking. I mean, our blur passes will fade it out, so actually, I don't care. Alright, so we got that going on. So let's add our second step to it. We're going to need our saved data, though. The maximum value needs to be saved. I'm actually going to need a call. Alright, I'll need to write that down. Need to call get max water speed and save on blueprint object. Okay. So we've written our shore edge. Let's add in the next step. Let's write our calculated paths and see what that looks like. Looks like gold. There's been a lot of, you know, cool looking stuff. And lighting definitely, like lighting and shadows, you know, messing around with Unreal and stuff like that. I thought lighting and shadows would have a lot less garbage going on with them than right now exists. But there's like just an unending number of hacks that go into getting the lighting looking properly, is what it seems like. So let's take a look at our calculated paths and see if they actually look like what they should look like. The max water speed should be like 10 after this, because our paths actually have a passed in weight. I'll have to look at that. What is this object here? We've got like this thing. We've got the weight of 10 on it, or weight of 1. So I'm going to need to add on to this waterfall thing real quick. A new variable, it's going to be water speed. We actually have a water speed. Alright, so like water flow speed. I'll make it a float. Be like, this will be, this is the actual water speed. Alright, we'll do from 0 to, you know, like 20. default it to 10. And in our construction event, we're going to set this variable on our water inputs. This is the output, so water output. Why am I not using Lumberyard? Wouldn't it be free since you wouldn't be using any of the online elements? I'm not using Lumberyard even though I worked at Amazon and worked with Lumberyard. Because I fucking hate Lumberyard. So, I don't know. I don't even know how much I can even talk about that. Yeah, but like Lumberyard there is a whole army of people working on making Lumberyard better. And I have no doubt that they will get better and become more competitive and things like that. But right now, I just don't want to use it. It's that simple. So I want to access this water object. How do I set this thing here? I want to set it to our input. Like we have this child object. I hate Lua. Yeah. I don't know. I think Lua's alright. Like we wrote our games in college with a bunch of Lua scripts, and I was writing stuff in Unity. I hooked up Lua script engine to it, and I was writing a whole bunch of stuff in there. So I don't have a beef against Lua. Alright, so how do I've got a child actor component. I don't really know exactly how to set these variables here. Like we've got this actor, and I've got this child actor template. So it's this water object. I guess maybe I need an interface for the blueprint or something, and then I can call into that interface? Oh, the Lua stuff? I mean the Lumberyard stuff? Yeah, I don't use Lumberyard. I worked with Lumberyard when I was at Amazon. The reason I'm not using it is because I don't really like it. And it's in development. There's an army of people working on it, but you know, they'll eventually get there. But Unreal has just a massive head start. There's a reason it's free. You know, like they don't have any secret sauce. What major games are out there running on Lumberyard right now? You know, like name one. So until they actually get some battle scars and stripes there, I'm not touching it. So how do we actually set this thing? I want to set a variable on this object. So the water object, we've got the weight. I guess maybe it's instance editable with this public editable instance on this blueprint. Yeah, so okay, we'll make it public and we'll say this is the speed of water generated from this object. If it's public, can I set it? What are the things I can't talk about regarding Lumberyard? Probably like its development history, and then all the secret things about what they're actually building inside of it, and all that. Also, it's not like I went over to Seattle and had beers with people who work on Lumberyard, and or have been in conversations with people in bars who are quitting or are joining. So there's a lot of stuff I'm not really sure what's secret and what's not, so I'm just not gonna. I mean, having it be open source or not is not really the issue. It's more trade secrets and other things. Alright, so let's see. We can't set this. I guess I have to. Let me just Google it real quick and see if I actually have to go make a frickin' interface for this. Like set variable and child actor. Change public variables of child actor components. Yeah, this is what we want to do. It's kind of annoying. Like I've got basically a child blueprint actor which I want to create and then set variables on, but I can't do that. And it's a little bit touchy. Well, it could be just good enough that you edit these things just directly. So what we want to do is go to this blueprint, and what we want to go to I just want to set this to like 10. How do I do that programmatically? I guess I have to make an interface for this thing. So I'll just say like water interface. And we're gonna have like set weight, set water speed, and yeah, that's gonna be something that exists on there, and it should take a speed variable, which is a float. Okay, so we have this. The water object needs to implement this. Parent class water flow object. Interfaces, no interface. Add water interface. File and save. Alright, so we're going to want the water output. Set water speed. It should take child actor component reference is not compatible with water object reference. Cast to blueprint. Get actor. Get actor. Child actor component blueprint Unreal. Let's see if we can actually. This is just ugly. Like, we can't actually get the actor. This is a component that spawns an actor. So we can't actually do much with this. God, that's so shitty. Ugh. Alright, so we really can't do this. We can't have a child actor component nicely work here. Alright, so we need to remove this. So for us to do this, we need to actually... How in the hell do you even edit this thing? Like... This is part of it where I'm not Unreal expert, man. What are the top game developers to work for? I got an interview Thursday with Warner Brothers, but I can't find a lot of information on working there. I know some people who worked with, like, what, Snowblind, which had WB as their publisher, like when they were doing like Heroes of Middle Earth or whatever. Apparently they're a bunch of assholes, but that's coming from second or third party game studio feedback. Yeah, from what I know, WB is not the best people to work for. The best game developers to work for, honestly, it doesn't matter what company you're working for. It matters what manager you're working under. Like, in any job, you can be working for Comcast. It doesn't matter. Your job quality is going to be directly affected most by your manager. And a good manager in a bad company is going to give you a good experience and a better experience than a bad manager at a good company. So regardless, that's going to be your biggest thing. So I am really not happy with how this is working here. I want to be able to edit this child object here somehow. Like, I need to set this variable, but I want to set it here. What games does WB even make? I think they make a lot of stuff. Yeah, like Shadow of War and stuff like that. You know, they make all the movie stuff. So, you know, your Batmans, your Injustices, your Mortal Kombats. I think they do publishing as well. So I'm not sure exactly what they create and what the studios create that they work with. But I'd imagine if you're working with a publisher, you're working for the company that is usually a publisher, you'll be working on more experimental stuff, which could be pretty fun. Alright. Or you're working on shared platform technology, like usually you have a publisher because they have an e-commerce backend and a good telemetry system and all that sort of stuff that not all the game studios will have the ability to make. So I just want to be able to edit this thing here from outside of it. I basically want to make a public child editable and inherited, variable name, tooltip. Category is in default. Category is editing this. How come I can't edit you? Like there's a waterfall mesh. We have falls, blah blah, color, actor. I mean, I'm kind of very surprised that I cannot edit these things. Like, what the fuck? Like, I must be missing something that's massive in how this crap works, because I have a child actor that gets created, and I just want to change these variables, but on an instance-specific basis. So, like, what the fuck? Like, this should be simple. This should be really simple. Why even call it a buffer? Because jargon vocabulary, if somebody says buffer, you immediately know it's not system memory, it's graphics card stuff. So if you're talking in normal parlance, you don't have to specify RAM on graphics card. You can just say buffer. Probably that's your easiest thing. I don't see anything that allows me to edit this. We have editable when inherited. You can't change the variable edit anywhere. This isn't blueprints, right? Like, this isn't C++. When I'm not like missing something in my header file. It's literally this blueprint only object that I've created where I've got these actors here. Maybe I need a component as opposed to one of these, and then I'll be able to edit it. Maybe that's what I have to do, is have a water flow object component, which is just trash. I don't like that at all. Alright, I wish to be able to change the default settings of child actor component inside a blueprint editor. Situation as I'm designing rooms, blah blah blah. Alright, so to modify the child actor from the return value of add child actor component, drag a get child actor, cast your blueprint type. Alright, so inside of our construction script, we're supposed to basically get this, and when it gets created, we need to get child actor, and then we cast to our blueprint type. Oh, Jesus. So we're just screwed. Because this isn't the actual thing. We'd have to do like on begin play or something. Yeah, okay, so this, you literally just cannot do this. Wow, that is really stupid. Ugh, what a pile of shit. Well, and how am I supposed to edit these things nicely? What would be a good way that I can figure this out? Like, I could have the child actor itself look for its parent, and then snag from that, maybe? Get parent object in blueprint. Unreal. Alright, so what I want to do is in this water object inside of begin play or something else? Oh, Jesus. No, this isn't going to work because we're not actually ticking this object. It's going to be inside of the construction script. We're going to get owner. Get the owner of this actor used primarily for network replication. Target is actor. Alright, well, we're gonna try to figure out if we can actually do any of this. The name, the owner of our water object is undefined. Alright, so we're gonna call get name in the editor utils. Alright. The object is always null. Alright. So there's no owner on our object. Oh man, what a shit show. Yeah, I'm not really sure what you're talking about, Chris Goku. The this waterfall object here is not actually spawned with, it doesn't have any parent information, I guess. Like, we can't get the actor out of here because it's not actually the actor or anything like that. And inside of here, you know, like get owner doesn't really work. You know, it's getting null the whole time. So I don't know what you're talking about there, because I just can't get access to it, and this is not something that is playing, right? So I can't like have a tick and begin play or anything like that. This needs to just exist in the editor, because these are editor only objects. So if you have a different solution for that, you're gonna have to say it in terms I can actually understand. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to set the water speed on this object. So I've got this blueprint, which is just the waterfall, and I want to set the weight variable here to a different value, and I want to be able to set it just on in the editor here. No, so you can't cast to the parent, like there's like, we can try get parent actor and see if that actually gives us anything. I was using get owner, so perhaps it is get parent. It is waterfall blueprint. Alright, so get parent actually does have it. So it's going to be the child actor needs to reach into the parent and snag it. So I had it backwards, basically, of what would be intuitive is I need the parent object to actually have the interface. So this will be our blueprint interface, which would be our water speed indicator blueprint, and we'll have get water speed, and we'll output a float. Alright, so our waterfall blueprint actually has to implement this interface. So if we return this, then we'll be able to actually set this inside of the construction script for this. Alright. Get water. So it'll be like this. That is really roundabout. Jesus. If only we could edit the object template itself inside of Blueprints. That would be so much simpler. Because that's how it's that's how it looks like, is you've got these child actor templates, and if I could change this template in here easily, I guess it's just a shortcut. This whole thing is a shortcut inside of the construction script or something to spawn the object, and it's running at a different time. so let's see if we can actually do anything with this. Where's the waterfall blueprint water flow speed? It's inside of the default category. Let's just put this in speed. Alright, it looks like it is actually set there, so this will actually work. Okay, that's better. So if you need to access variables from a child actor, you need to implement an interface on the parent which the child can access, because the object is not actually spawned until after the construction script of your parent. I'm surprised there wasn't any actual documentation in some of those forum questions of, well, you're not supposed to do that, you're supposed to access it from the child. Alright, cool. So we have that coming in. So now we wanted to actually get our flow path weight. So write our calculated paths. We're going to go through all these. It's going to be path input weight, pixels index mag, and everything else. So regardless of our water blueprint, we should be able to just get this constructed and it should work. Kind of roundabout. I mean, that's pretty much, because I've only been using Unreal Engine here for 7 months. And of that, how much have I actually been doing game development inside of the engine? Probably like 2 months or 3 months or less. The rest is just other stuff. Alright, so we wrote our path. My question is, why are these guys appearing so bright? I would expect this. Yeah, everything's getting set to 1 as opposed to what I expect this would be 10. So this would be bright white and this would be like a very dark gray. Alright, so in paths, there is one path. The input for this has a weight of 1. Well, why is that? Because we're setting our weight here. Why not just blueprint the water? I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, Crisco. The water is a blueprint. This input, though, is... These are objects which are not tied to this water, so I can like throw, waterfalls wherever I want on the map. And this this water is going to discover that it collides with this water input node and then dynamically do all this sorts of stuff. So like we're going to call this, get this, the water object, the water flow object is going to set its weight properly. Get weight is right here. Do we actually call get weight? It's right there. Weight is 10. Alright, so where are we adding these things? Add repulse area in inputs. Object. Yeah, pretty much. There's simple collision there with the water, with the water object kind of static, and then we statically tick a whole bunch of particles on the surface of the water with how they collide with the ground and create the water flow based on what is actually in the world and stuff like that, statically. And we'll have some dynamic stuff on there, but it's going to be kind of a fuzz layer. So I need to see where we actually make these. We have the water flow object, and the weight on this is actually 10, so that's correct. So we need our flow path. So we need our calculated flow path. Calculate path, input, output. Alright, so we have one input which has a weight of 10. Well then, the path has the input. The input is 1. Oh, are we not setting the input and output on this thing? I mean, that would be why. If we're not setting those variables, then yeah, we would have just like uninitialized garbage, wouldn't we? Yeah, we're not setting up. Alright, cool. Well, that's one mystery solved. And that's why you go through kind of meticulously making sure you actually did what you thought you did, because when code gets this complicated, and so much garbage, and you've been working on it for a while. If you don't verify every little piece as you go along, you're in for a very long debugging process where you will never figure out what the hell you're doing. Or you could just write it correctly to begin with. But then you would be much better than I am. Alright, so we'll construct this stuff and we'll see how it goes. Yes, this is what I was expecting. I was expecting kind of this dirty gray and all that. Excellent. That's what we're looking for. So we can move on to the next step, which is going to be the particles themselves. So let's write the particles and flow objects. What gray isn't dirty? I don't know. I wonder how many people pop open my stream, see that I use the light setting for Visual Studio, and then immediately close Twitch out of disgust. Alright, so this is our magnitude here for all these. What lines? Yeah, exactly. See, there's at least one here. Okay, so we do have all of our particles with our fast-moving stuff. Very cool. Alright, well, let's... And it looks like we've got our input field set here. We're not writing this flow object properly. We're writing this flow object, it looks like, but we're not writing this one. Why in the hell aren't we writing this one? Alright, so we got all the inputs. We're writing the flow object for the outputs. So let's take a look. Use the light setting for Visual Studio. That's what I'm doing. Because it's the default, and I just don't care. Okay, so the reason that we would be using this, we should have a magnitude of our weight is 0. Okay, the reason that we're not doing anything is because our weight is actually 0. So the question, I believe, should be, should the weight be determined by the thing that's coming into it? I mean, for the output nodes, basically, the weight should be determined by what's going into it. It would be the easiest way. Like, if we change this to like 10 or whatever, this should just be fine. So, what we're going to want to do here is, if we're writing a flow object, we're going to want to see who's connected to it, and then grab the weight of that. The maximum weight of it, probably. So when we actually compute our paths, what we're going to want is there a simpler way to do this? Like, we found our path to our water flow object. Water flow object could have something else on. I guess we could have max input weight as a thing. Or we could just have max input as a thing. Would it be so bad to have to actually specify this ourselves? Oh, I see what's going on. We got this screwed up. How do we check if parent actor is null? Like, I just wanted to see, like, if this is null. I mean, does this work? Looks like it works. It's been raining and thundering for two months. Oh man, killed your PS4. Sucks. Was that just all the power outages or something? Blowing up all your electronics? You need to sue your power company for having crappy electricity delivered to your house. Alright, so the question is, how do we want this output to be set up? I don't really want the output to... Like, what kind of control do we want over this thing? Like, I kind of want the input path to just kind of override it and say, like, well, the maximum is 10, so you should be 10. So why don't we just do that? Why don't we just get the maximum input and just set it to it, and that should be okay. So this is going to be for our inputs, for our outputs. We will need to do things. Every cable box. Yeah, if you might be able to get the power company actually legit to pay for that. I remember there was a story about one guy who like hooked up a whole bunch of server equipment, and he didn't actually use surge protectors for it, and he like was just like asking for advice, and somebody's like, you can actually like sue the power company because there's enough money here. You just send them like a threatening letter, and they'll send you the bill. They'll send you the money or something. I don't know. It might be different with different states though. It bricked your router, your modem, and Jesus. Well, hopefully it didn't brick your house. Because, you know, replacing those is usually a little bit more difficult than your cable box. Let's see, I need to, when I calculate the paths for these things, I need like the input weight for this thing. So like, I would just say max input weight equals 0, and calculate paths, I think is where we do this. So if found, then output dot max input weight equals because we're copying these things here. I can't save a pointer to this thing because I'm not totally guaranteed. Well, I might be guaranteed a little bit because I'm not going to be resizing the array anymore, but that's still kind of a nasty bug case. I don't really want to save a pointer. Only a window in a truck, Jesus, dude. That's rough. Aha, this is on the outputs. So what we can do is output equals fmath max of this. So I'm going to have to remember that these are copies and all that, so they're not going to have everything on them, but we should be able to do some stuff here.